Hi there, Hannah Nandor here, and in this video we are going to look at how to organize content in Schoology and kind of some general guidelines and things that you'll want to keep in mind as you figure out how to organize your materials for your students. So I'm going to make my video go away so that it's not blocking anything on the screen. So we are looking at right now a course that I've set up kind of as a workplace for myself. I like to do this because I know a lot of people are building resources either in resources or in resources within groups, which is a great way to share content and setups with a lot of different people. However, there are some things that look different in an actual course compared to resources. So I personally have always found it easier to set up in kind of a dummy course. So this is a course that my students are never going to enroll in. Sometimes I enroll myself as a student using my personal email, so I can see what it looks like from a student standpoint, or I ask one of my colleagues to act as a student in my class, just so that we can test run some things. So what we're looking at here are the materials section. And so the first thing you notice are some folders. So that's kind of your first way to organize your materials. Everything that plays into how you organize your course itself needs to come from a student perspective. It needs to come from how is this going to be the most interactive, the most appealing, the most useful to my students, because that's who's going to be interacting with your course the most. So you need to switch your brain to how do I interact with this as a student, and how does that, how is my setup either useful or hindering how my students interact. So I always start with unit folders. This year, they're not in there right now, but there will be kind of some like classroom basics or resources folder up here at the top. You could also use updates off to the side. Julie is going to talk about how you can make your updates a landing page, and so you can do a lot with updates. But I'm going to focus on the organization of materials. So the first thing you might notice is that my folders are actually spaced pretty far apart. I have these goofy comics in here. I recently learned this summer that if you put a picture in, it makes this entire area clickable instead of just having to click on the actual title where you get the link. So if you put a picture or some text or something in there, it makes this whole area clickable, which is sometimes easier for our students who don't have as great fine motor control, or just it makes it easier. It gives them a bigger spot to click. So let's go ahead and click here and open my unit. So the first thing you'll notice is that there aren't folders right away. There's this thing called homepage, and I'm going to get to that in a video where I talk about choosing what materials to add. But you can see here, my students open this, and the first thing that they're going to see is the calendar. So I find that useful. That's a personal choice, but I like to give them a spot to know what's going on a specific day. And then I've got some other things embedded that I'm going to look at in a later video where you can embed things other than websites or videos. And then down here, I've got my weeks. So I've decided this year, partially because of what the district has asked us to, and also in working with my other honors chemistry teachers, to organize content by weeks. So you'll notice there's a folder for each week, and then there's a review and there's a test. I like to make it so that students can see everything that's coming up. It kind of helps them put some things in perspective. So one of the things that you'll want to think about when you organize your materials is you want to make the things to do seem manageable. It can be really, really daunting to open up a folder and see a massive list of things to do. Even if some of those are things that might only take 5 minutes, it's still intimidating and daunting to a student. So I would encourage you to use folders to divide things up. We, as a PLT, decided to divide our weeks into 2 categories, learn it and show it. I know a lot of people are also dividing it by day. So you might have a folder for day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, so on and so forth. Either way is fine. You'll just want to think about what it's going to look like to students. And then you can see here, I've got a page, so I've got some directions put in. And then I've divided some stuff into folders, and I've divided some stuff just into individual pages. That all comes down to, again, what is reasonable for your students. If you decide that there is something in an order that you don't particularly like, it's easy to move in a course. So you just pick it up and you can drag it up or down. You can even title these so that you could number them if you wanted, whatever is going to be easier for your students to follow. Mine aren't numbered, but it does say up here at the top, the activities below are in the order that you should work through this week. So that was our personal choice. That's how we chose to do it. And so then when you go forwards or backwards, you can look at your different folders. The main thing when you're thinking about organizing is what it's going to look like to students. Other than that, there aren't a whole lot of tricks to do it. To get folders in, it's just in your materials. So you add a folder and then you build from there. So that's a little bit on kind of the thought for how you should think about organizing your courses. If you have any questions about specifics, you can check out some of the other videos, or you can always feel free to contact me. Thanks.